Hello! Greetings. Wait. I need to do that. Sorry. Hello, greetings everyone. Welcome. We are here. Hello. My name is Harriet Citadel, an avian alien sentinel VTuber, and welcome to my channel. We are doing something interesting today. We are doing an unprepared art class with SaiPrime, and he'll introduce himself later when we join upstreams in just a minute. And this is going to be a really interesting one. It is the first collab on this channel. I'm really hyped about that. And it is also a completely unprepared session, so I have no idea what he's going to ask me to draw, or ask me to teach him how to draw. We agreed beforehand that it would be safe for work stuff, so no weird nonsense is going to be going down that way. But I'm really excited, and I do strongly recommend that everyone opens up the link in the pinned comment in chat. That is the link to Sai's point of view as well. Simply because we do not have a screen-in-screen video capture thing going on, so for you guys as the viewers to be able to get a full grasp of what's going on, it will be beneficial and useful to you if you have both streams open. You can mute one of the tabs so that you don't have weird audio echoing nonsense going on for you. But it'll just help to see what's going on, what's the feedback, and all of that. And I do also strongly encourage any viewers to follow along if you want to also learn a few things and develop a couple of skills along the way. That being said, this is a more one-on-one sort of a session, so I may not be actively looking at chat, and I just wanted to give you guys that little warning ahead of the time. My focus is going to be on giving feedback to Sai and making sure that he's okay and all of that. But if you've got questions, you can drop those in the chat as well, and depending on how things go, I might pick a couple of those to answer at the end of the stream as well. So let's just see on his side how things are going, and if he is ready to go. Let us see. Alright, it looks like we are ready to switch over. So, with that being said, without any further ado, let us enter. Hello! Greetings! And at Misthaven as well. So lots of interesting things all happening at the same time. We are going cross realities here a little bit, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Sorry, I just realized that I had Discord muted on my OBS. 1 second.
It ain't a stream without a little scuff.
Always, especially when you think you've got all of your ducks in a row and then boop, nope, you do not.
It adds character.
It does. It does. All right. So, for everyone who is joining firstly on Sai's channel, hello, my name is Harriet Citadel. I'm an avian alien VTuber. Indie, as pretty much everyone can probably guess. And I'm going to be attempting to teach Sai how to draw something today. I don't know what yet.
Yeah, and I am going to be attempting to learn something today. I am also indie, obviously. SaiPrime, Professor Prime. I have many names. Call me whatever. And I am a mad scientist supervillain VTuber, naturally. And yeah, gonna have some fun, I think.
Indeed, that is the plan. So, I think, without any further ado, it is time to find out, what am I actually teaching you today?
Okay, so I'm not gonna go for anything too complicated. I mean, I'm the uber beginner here, but I just wanna, like, I've been, well, as a kid I used to draw a bit more, right? I've done plenty of simple drawings over the years. I've done like anime style character design sort of things. As a kid, I usually drew like Sonic the Hedgehog characters because, well, you don't really have to know your proper art stuff to be able to draw Sonic characters. They kind of ignore all anatomy and clothes.
All of the difficult things.
Yeah, and they got big old Mickey Mouse hands. But just I'm gonna go for some simple, I guess. Like I just character art. I don't know. Like I was already looking to try to figure out how to do digital art better and improving that like before your suggestion came across my way. But because I'm trying to both get back into something I used to really enjoy and also potentially be able to like make assets for my streams, maybe even start doing art content of my own, but yeah, so like I guess mainly like human character, kind of like
all right,
be able to do like the I always tended to ignore like clothes wrinkles and stuff, and like I only have like a basic understanding of being able to do like standardly kind of anime character design. I kind of stuck to like a very basic 3/4 sort of pose, no dynamic, nothing. Yeah, I'm pretty open to
so
I can learn there.
So characters we know are then going to be our focus.
Okay.
And with that, there, like you've mentioned, clothing, anatomy, all of that, that has a lot that it can get broken down into. And the beauty of this all is that you don't have to learn everything all at the same time. So
I've got my scuff on my side. Sorry, I'm messing with my Creator window. It kept maximizing.
no.
Okay, sorry. Paying attention now.
Okay. Well, the beauty of everything is that you don't need to learn everything all at the same time. That helps a lot. So one thing that I definitely recommend is to go through your learning process with one thing in mind, and that is you don't have to do everything perfect every time. All right? So when you draw something, what I strongly recommend doing is looking at it and identifying the things that you like about how you did that thing. So let's say, for example, you drew a Sonic character. Now, but you really like the way that you colored it. You can use the same methodology and the same technique and everything that you've learned in coloring that particular character in another drawing. So that is not something that has not got value. So
makes sense.
Anything that you do that you say to yourself, ooh, I'm proud of how that came out, you have to take note of that, because that is the thing that motivates you to keep doing the thing.
Right.
All right. Then what I'd like you to do, every time you draw a picture, it doesn't matter if it can be the most stupid doodle in a piece of lined paper in the side of your notebook, or a diary or whatever that you're taking business notes in, I don't know. Sometimes those margin doodles happen to be the best things that you draw. It is infuriating, but it happens. But just that is one of those little things that is very, very valuable to keep in mind, is look at the things that you're proud of and see, okay, how did I do that, and can I repeat that?
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. An analysis, the post-analysis, yeah.
Yeah, and that positive affirmation is really, really good in terms of building your morale. And for something creative, building your morale is always one of the things that you've got to do consciously. Because if you're not enjoying the process, you've got to at least enjoy the result. If you're not enjoying the result, you've got to at least enjoy the process.
Right.
Okay. So then the next thing you're going to do when you look at your pictures is you're going to see, okay, here's what I did right. Now, when I did the things that I'm not quite satisfied about, let's identify those parts. And from there, look at how you can improve on those individual things. So when it comes to characters, it comes down to a whole bunch of moving parts the whole time. So trying to fix everything all at the same time is going to drive you absolutely insane, because it's a lot. So if you're looking more at assets for yourself, are you more looking at things like different poses for your PNG, or are you looking at what are your use cases that you're envisioning?
I mean, yeah, I've already learned some like more like image editing stuff and things like GIMP, but as far as art, I guess the first thing that came to mind was being able to maybe do different drawings of my avatar to put in like thumbnails, right? So it isn't always just the same pose with a picture of a different character from the game that I'm playing, you know.
Okay,
like,
so
you know, stuff that's a bit more, has a bit more character in it, fitting for each one, you know.
Okay, so priority was definitely from the waist up in that sense. All right, that's fine. That's a starting point. We've already lost half of the body that we need to worry about. You don't have to worry about feet. These horrible little flappy paddles that never make any sense when you try to draw them. So immediately, one less thing you've got to worry about.
Yeah, feet are kind of strange. Like, a lot of the time it would just be like boots or these like nondescript. That's also why I kind of liked doing Mega Man Battle Network designs, because they kind of have some very nondescript boot-shaped shoes.
Yeah. So, yeah, just once again, if you're focusing mostly on things where the use case is going to be waist up, that's where you need to prioritize your learning, is things that are going to happen from the waist up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so nondescript boots, all of that nonsense, we can take and put that in a drawer to look at later. Not today's problem. Future use problem. You can get to that when you're ready for it. You don't have to open up that little drawer until you're ready for it.
Cool.
Right. So, considering then that most of what we're going to be looking at is also more dynamic stuff for your thumbnails and so on, the dynamic sort of a posture is not an issue. If you are trying to do symmetrical VTuber rigs, it would be maybe slightly more tricky. But in the case of your more dynamic poses and stuff, you've actually got a lot of flexibility and freedom. So something that I am going to encourage is the implementation of what we call gesture drawing. Now, this is the quick and nasty sketch that you put down before anything else to just kind of get a feel for how everything moves. The proportions can be as wacky as all grievances thrown together. It can be the maelstrom of chaos incarnate. If you can understand the movement in that mad scratch across your screen, then that's enough.
Okay.
All right. Now, a gesture drawing is basically all about movement. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a pin here quickly so that we can just have a look at this. Maybe 128 is a little bit too big for this brush. Just a little. That's a bit better. Okay. So, when we're looking at a gesture drawing for a thumbnail, we've got basically a circle and two lines that we need to worry about. Okay, the circle being the basic positioning of the head, and the two lines being the sort of flow of the body and the flow of the arm. It's a stick figure. And that is perfectly fine. Everything can start off as a stick figure. Okay, now the thing with gesture drawings is trying to keep them as loose as possible, because these are going to be basically your, how can I phrase this? These are going to be your building blocks, but they're more about feeling than about precision, right? Now, depending on how you have oriented your movement stripes, it's going to dramatically change the feel of what you're doing. So here I see that you've got a motion set up like that, and from that point it can go in a whole bunch of different directions. So if you do something like that with your second stripe, it's going to feel different from if you do something like that.
Okay.
You can immediately see that the way that the person is looking, theoretically, is going to change. And that's got to do with the angle that this line crosses the body at.
Okay.
So I'm not going to teach you recipes, because anyone can show you a recipe and that's not going to help you if it comes to trying to get original thought in place. But what I want to do is I want to give you a sense of understanding of what you're trying to actually build. So in terms of our stick figure, that is going to be our gesture drawing. We've got Mr. Stick Figure. And Mr. Stick Figure is going to have eventually a torso, right?
Right.
Now, if you look at that from the top, it's going to look something like that, right?
Right.
So if you look at that from the top and side, it's going to look something like that.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, the shoulder is squared up. Yeah.
Makes sense.
So, like, understanding dimensions here in, like, 3D space.
Yes. We're trying to just get a sense of the layering of how shapes fit together. So these, as your foundational blocks, are going to be really, really useful to you. So when you've got a gesture like this, you can see the shoulder cuts across like that, so the torso will probably be something along those lines. Roughly.
Right.
And we can assume that we're not actually going to be seeing much of that top plane because it's angled probably away from us. Probably.
Right.
So what you can do is you can actually build yourself a little model if it'll help. Take a matchbox and a piece of, I don't know if you've got press stick in your kind of part of the world. It's anything round that you can stick onto that matchbox, and you can use that to give you that sort of basic orientation. If you've got an action figure or something that you can use as a posing reference, that also helps.
Oh, I've got action figures.
If you've got action figures that are mostly human, and not covered in so much additional material that you can't actually see how the body is shaped, then you have an awful lot more than I do at the moment. Currently, I had a quick look around my room for anything that I could use as in-person reference material, and I realized, shucks, the only humanoid thing I have got in 3 dimensions is a wig head, and that's not going to help us today.
Well, if you couldn't tell by the name already, I am quite a fan of Transformers. I'm a bit of a collector.
I am somehow not surprised by this, but it's good to know that you've at least got the reference material.
Yeah, so I've got a little sound wave here, and he's already actually pretty boxy.
Okay, so Soundwave will be very, very useful for you in terms of getting this basic boxy orientation. So I can't tell, based off of what you can see on your end, in terms of how much articulation that model has got, or if it's a static thing.
It's got some. I could pick out another one.
Well, maybe let's just show you an idea quickly in terms of why I'd like you to actually have a reference like this.
Gears? Yeah, gears works.
All right. So here's the reason why I want you to have something that's got a little bit of articulation in it. When things move, because we are in the business of not having static things, we're dealing with living organisms approximately most of the time, there's always going to be movement which has a primary movement and a counter movement. So you got to imagine almost like a pair of counterweights all the time. So if one thing moves forward, the other thing has to move backward. Right?
Right.
So when it comes to...
Okay. Here we go. Sorry, no, I was listening. I was just getting bigger sound wave.
Fair.
There we go. This one has more articulation.
Okay.
He's yellow.
So that principle is going to be really, really useful to you in what I'm going to say next, right?
All right.
So if we've got our head and we've got our torso box, we said we're not going to worry about the legs, but before the legs comes something called the pelvic box, right?
Right.
Now, if you look at a skeleton, you'll notice that the torso box and the pelvic box have a kind of a gap in between, right?
Right.
Okay, everything in that gap is squishy stuff. So that is hard, and that is hard, and that is squishy.
Right.
Right? And this is going to be an important
makes
thing. Okay. So, when you have something, let's go back to our little weird stickman gesture drawing. When you've got something like this, you're not going to want to have one long, big, rigid box. Right? You're going to want to have a box that's roughly about the size of your rib cage, and you can eyeball that. So usually it should be around about a head height, maybe a head and a half, depending on the proportions of what you're drawing, but you don't really need to worry about that too much. You can eyeball it most of the time. Nobody will fight you over it, okay? Now, in a pose like this, you could then include your hip box at a slightly different angle, and then connect the corners. Let me just change color there. Connect the corners, because that's squishy stuff. Now, if you had to take a different pose, you might have your chest box and your hip box at totally different angles. And what would happen is you would get a twist. Do you see how the squishy stuff twists there? So that is going to be useful to you, is being familiar with how you've got stiff stuff, which is going to be at angles, and squishy stuff in the middle that connects it to.
Right, because then you can connect the proper planes and edges.
Exactly. So you can take a half a day or 5 minutes every other day and just mess around with a couple of different orientations between chest boxes and hip boxes and get an idea of different kinds of twists. And you don't even necessarily need to do your little stick man in between. So if I just make a fresh layer here, you can do a couple of exercises where you have a front and you put a hip plane at a different angle, and you connect like that. And you'll see you can do a whole bunch of different things. You can have your front, you can have your front and connect like that. And you can mess around with a whole bunch of different angles and orientations. If you've got something that looks like that, it's maybe going to be a little bit easier to deal with than if you've got something that looks like that. That is an impossible bend for most people.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Those are
a little bit
Mr.
of
Fantastic.
yeah, so a little bit of logic is going to be helpful in that sense. But you can mess around with what you're expecting. So if I draw a little circle in the top there, that can be basically what you'd expect of the neck. Now, one thing to also add to this is that if you've got something like this where you've got a stretch on one side, you're going to have a compression on the other.
Right.
Okay, so this is actually something that is more often discussed about in terms of animation, but it's a little old rule they call squash and stretch.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so this you can also apply to when you're trying to do anything that moves. When something is going fast, it'll stretch. When something is compressing, it'll squash. Right? So even when you're doing a pose, you can implement this in terms of having a side that is stretched and a side that is squashed.
Okay.
And what this is usually translated into is a simple side versus a detail side.
Okay.
Okay, and this basically means that you'll have a lot of interest happening here and place for the eye to rest over here. So when you've got any structure, it can be a torso, it can be an arm, whatever. You'll have a simple side, you'll have a detail side, you'll have a simple side, you'll have a detail side, you'll have a simple side, you'll have a detail side.
Okay.
So combining your straights with your curves is going to make your pictures look a little bit more lively, having that contrast on opposite sides of the same structure.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right. So, I think as far as bodies go, that is something that is going to be a lot of digesting and practicing. So I think maybe what we should do is move on to something a little bit more easy to try and replicate all at the same time, right?
Okay.
So what I'm going to ask you to do is try for me to draw this.
Okay. All right. Why am I lagging? Oh no. Ah. Okay. What is soft proofing? What does that mean?
No.
Oh, no.
Oh dear.
What? I don't understand what it means. I think it's like saying, "Oh, you've been pressing undo too many times."
Oh no. Oh no.
I don't know. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Okay.
All right. So this, roughly, and the proportions can be however messy, we don't really particularly care, is a really, really basic winky face. Right?
Right. Yeah.
Now, if we think what we were just talking about with squash and stretch, the same thing is happening here. We have a stretch and we have a squash. In the most basic 3-line drawing. Okay.
Yep.
So, even when it comes to your expressions, that is something that is going to be helpful to think about, is to not have everything necessarily static. To put a little bit of movement in helps a lot in terms of getting a bit of character in what you're working with. So I'm just going to move this to the side here. In terms of how you have generally done your drawings in the past, have you been doing a sketching practice, or have you been doing basically going straight in from nothing most of the time? So like
yeah, I kind of just tend to go straight in. See, the thing is, I never really bothered to be like, oh, I'm gonna draw the the circles and the square and do the pose first. I just started doing the like actual drawing like first and kind of just brute forced it.
I think everyone does. Don't worry about it. Everyone does.
Okay.
To give you an idea, when I was first starting out, most of my drawings looked like this. Roughly. I couldn't draw human heads, so I added animal ears to everything because I could never get the top of the head right. So I just brute forced it that way, and it mostly worked for the time that I was okay with it, Yeah.
I mean, I kind of did like a basic, sort of thing like that.
So what will help me at this moment is to see, okay, when you do your own basic drawing, what is your current level? I think that'll be helpful for me to see presently. So what will be useful is to see, okay, you're not worried about pose, you're not worried about expression, anything, just quick doodle of a person where you're at now.
Okay,
I think that would be the helpful thing, because then from there we can pick out what was going to be the most useful information to you at this next step.
Okay, I guess I'll just stick with the green and purple. It doesn't really matter, but let's see here. Guess I'll zoom in a little bit. Do like nope. like that. Do like the bottom of the head. Erase that. Let's see, the eyes go about here, so like something like that. I'm not super used to the digital art, so maybe
No
a little
stress.
like I'm not like the best artist, but I like to think I'm slightly above average, but like, you know, not to toot my own horn or anything. See. That is too thick. My undo is not quick. Okay. Let's see. Just like do a little something like that. Just at the pupil there. Let's see what hair do I? I'll just do a little bit of a Goku, just a little bit of a. Kind of like that. The ear goes here. Make sure that's behind. It's also kind of Ash Ketchum. I feel like it's becoming. Let's see. Zoom out a little bit. I made his head way too big for my canvas. You know what? We're doing waist up anyway. Whatever. Let's go with it.
We take what we can and we roll with it. We roll with it.
Yeah, I mean, you generally have been like an inspiration for me. Actually, like trying to do these things. You know, I've said before, but I'm really trying to take to heart the. Perfect is the enemy of good. Like, that's not the first, like, just do the thing phrase that I've heard, but it really... Click the button. Okay. Really, resonated with me more,
No, it all works out in the end. Don't stress. Don't stress. Just seeing...
whatever. Let's see. That's like that. I feel like I got the proportions way wrong. Fix this arm, actually. At the chest there, that kind of like there we go. That sort of like that. The arm is way too thin now. That's the problem with how I draw. It isn't planned out, so I have to fix things when they inevitably start looking like like a randomized character creator.
Do you ever draw on paper?
Yeah, I don't draw often. I sometimes, like occasionally the spark sort of comes from something, but usually it's like a doodle, really. But yeah, most of the time it's on paper. I'm like recently is more when I started trying to learn how to do this digitally. Let's see here. Some kind of like, let's just cheat and give him like a martial artist kind of belt. Like sort of a band belt. Oh no, we ran out of space. Now we can't draw the legs.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
I suppose we'll just have to ignore... Computer, please.
I understand that panic. I understand that panic.
You think a mad scientist would have better
computing
hardware?
power? No. One thing I've learned is that there is no computer that is beefy enough ever. Like, you can have the hottest machine available to man. You will have it too slow for you. It will be too slow for you. There is no way around it. That is the facts of the universe. It will be too slow.
So, am I drawing in? No, that's purple. So that would kind of like just go over, do like a short sleeve, whatever.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's generally.
Okay. So I've got good news for you.
I like the neckline. Yes.
With the face, your proportions when you were first doing the roundness on the head and everything was actually not bad. Like, if you were doing, if that was your first layer on a sketch, it would actually be really solid.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so that is the first bit of really good news. In terms of the rest of your proportionality, I can see that you've got the eye for what's going on. You just need to actually get the recipes with which to build. So...
Okay.
The thing with the straight ahead drawing method that you've been using is that it is absolutely great for freedom and just getting ideas down really hard and fast. For messy stuff especially, it's great. The limitation of that is that if you do not know the underlying structures that you're trying to work with... Sorry, I've got a cough. Pardon, I'm sick. I'm sorry, everyone, I am currently ill. That came out of nowhere.
Sorry.
I could not mute that. I'm so sorry.
It's fine. I'll be doing okay.
If you don't know the underlying structures for this straight ahead drawing method, kind of knowing what you're skipping in terms of the process can be a little bit tricky. So in terms of things like your facial head proportion, where the ears are relative to the eyes, the roundness of the head, the size of the head relative to the jaw and all of that, in terms of how high up the head the eyes went and all of that, that was all really, really solid. Your nose placement is good, your mouth placement is good. All right?
Thank you, Professor Citadel.
So for that proportionality, your observation skills, your passive observation on real life and anime and all of that has served you well for this. The passive observation has served you well. Also, in terms of where the chest is lying, in terms of those pectoral muscles, also, actually, relatively good.
Thank you.
Okay? Shoulder width, also relatively good. The width of the abdomen relative to the head, really good. So in terms of your proportionality, you've already got a decent idea of what all is going on. So now all you need to learn is how to actually construct so that you can take that sense of proportionality and polish it.
Cool.
Okay, so you've already got a long way in the right direction. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly grab a screenshot. Let me do it from here. I'm going to quickly grab a screenshot because I'm cheating. I'm not supposed to be able to do that, but I'm doing it anyway. Okay.
Lag.
All of the lag. Okay, let me get rid of the weird pseudo furry thing. So
Like Killer Queen.
Okay, so this is Sai's straight ahead drawing for everyone on my side, so that you can see. If you've not been following on his stream, shame on you. You should be following it in another tab. But this is what he's currently had open and what he's currently got. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at how to take this as a base layer sketch and how to construct off of that, because it's very useful to be able to just lay down a couple of landmarks for yourself roughly, okay, and then kind of extrapolate your next steps. So if you've got a rough idea that looks like this in terms of what you want your thumbnail to be, for example,
Okay. Yeah.
you can then extrapolate off of that into something roughly like this, and from that you can go into an actual construction. I would actually always recommend starting with a blob man. Start with a blob man that says, okay, this is my pose, and
why is my tablet cursor lagging? Oh no.
I understand.
It was holding it together this whole time.
Oh no.
Okay, that's better. Sorry, well, I'm paying attention.
It's okay. It's okay. So I would strongly suggest when you're first getting your idea down for what you want in terms of your concept, start with a blob. All right? If you start with a blob, that gives you basically your idea. Pardon me. Then off of that, you can add another layer and sketch over it. Now,
gotcha. And yeah, now it's digital art too. I can just kind of cheat and draw over it, and then I can make the blob go away.
Exactly. Like, yeah, I've had a couple of blob drawings in my recent VODs as well. So if I think of if I think of just a second here, what was the... Okay, I'm just going to show you the blob from big illustration so that you don't freak out, okay? This was my last big illustration that I worked on. Just going to load.
Okay.
and I'm going to show you the blob for it. Because the blob is still hidden in the back end of the drawing. It's just taking a second. So this was my last big illustration.
All right, this one.
This one. It was it was a biggie. So let me just grab everything that's visible and put it in a group. Okay.
Love that rug.
I'm glad you like the rug. Okay. So that is the final.
It's the most rug.
How to rug? I don't know. Okay.
You clearly know how to rug.
Okay, so here we had a 3D posing doll that we were cheating with because it was Clip Studio has this built in, and I abused the spit out of it. But
Nice.
even then, we started with a blob that ignored the majority of proportionality. Like, we were just kind of trying to figure out, okay, what is our basic idea that we're going for here? So we got a rough idea of where we want the head and sort of where we want the chin. We got a sort of a rough idea of where we wanted the hands and that we wanted them to be holding a cup. And we got a sort of a rough idea that we wanted the legs crossed. But really, there is no construction here. Now,
All right.
I do recommend doing a couple of blob drawings for yourself like this to just get an idea of doing things loose and nasty and not trying to polish straight off the bat. So as a little bit of homework, I do strongly recommend doing this for yourself as well. Do a couple of blob drawings. Just trying to get a pose down loosely. So when we're looking at something like this, where you've got your pose down loosely, we're going to now take your existing pose that you've got here, and we're going to construct over it. All right? So what we're going to do is we're going to reduce the opacity on that just a little bit so that I can see what I'm doing. And we're going to add a layer on top. Now, you had the head there already, roughly. And you have the facial shape pretty much already mostly sorted. Right. So the next thing that you got is you've got to think of your ribs. It's always easier to start with your panel of head, rib, hip, and then everything that the limbs do is kind of weird nonsense on the side. They can do whatever. But if you've got your head, your rib, and your hip in place, everything else is a lot easier to sort out. Okay?
Okay, head, rib, and hip. Right. Oh, Ada is just lagging. I don't understand why. Okay. I need to, like, restart the program. I don't know what's happening.
It's
So sorry,
okay.
I'm listening.
It's okay. All is well. So now what we're going to do is I'm just going to check. You should have on your side, you should have a layers panel as well. And I'd like you to do this along with me. All right?
Okay, just saving the image and closing creative because it is not doing well.
It's okay. It's okay. Technical difficulties strike us all.
Yeah. Program. Start. No. Why must this be? Why must this be the case? I don't understand. My internet's going to outer space. Ooh.
Don't worry about it. The lag is part of the process. We all sit with that at some point.
It's part of the it's just just add a text here.
The lag is strong with this one. Yes, the lag is strong with this one. So, late question. You do not by any chance have a hand cam setup available, do you?
Not necessarily. I do have a webcam that I could point down, which is basically what that is, isn't it?
It is. Is it viable? Is it viable?
Let me just. Should be.
Okay. Because here's the thing. What I'm trying to work with you with here is that what we're trying to convey is stuff that you can work on both digitally and on paper. So if the software is being troublesome, we're going to switch to hardware. Okay. And I will switch to paper too. Because the process and the thinking methodology is going to be the same either which way.
It is. Wow, it is waiting so. It is taking so long to open. Yeah. Pencil eraser. Oh, Krita just opened.
Of course it would. Of course it would.
And it is still. Oh, it's okay. Right. Is it gonna work? Gonna not lag? I'm still setting up the hand cam.
All right.
Video capture device? No. Right. Display? No. Video capture device? Is that it? Yeah, it is. Okay, so that could. Yep. Okay, so I have that. Got a little view of my drawing tablet there, but let me see. Where did I put? Where did I put this other glove? Oh no! Where did it go?
Oh no!
I had my drawing glove. Everything's falling apart.
Okay. It's okay. It's okay. Imagine in big friendly letters, don't panic.
There it is.
Don't panic and everything comes right.
I wasn't panicking, I was just laughing at myself. I was like I grabbed one thing, then the other, I grabbed one gloves, the other gloves disappeared. Okay, okay, it seems like it's not lagging as much. I'm gonna say it's not lagging as much.
Okay, we will keep an eye on it. We'll keep an eye on it.
Pop. Boop. There we go, and we're back.
Okay.
Oh,
awesome.
I probably need to put it back on. Am I sharing my screen?
You know what? I've actually got your YouTube open as well, so I'm actually watching on your YouTube.
Oh, that might actually make it better for my computer.
Yeah, so you don't have to stress. I'm actually going to. Are you monitoring on my screen share, or are you monitoring on YouTube?
I was looking at the screen share, but I can. I have my tablet here. I wasn't like playing the video, but I could see the chat. But yeah, I can look on YouTube.
Well, we'll see what works best for you.
Okay. So if I let's see here. How do I stop watching? Okay. And then does that make it not lag? Oh, that is much better, actually. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah. Then I'm going to cut that as well, and that will hopefully save us all some headaches and some heartaches as well.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
Okay. So that's another interesting thought. I had joined a Discord about this software, creative, and the simplest idea, but this blew my mind. The fact that you can use a ruler on a drawing tablet to draw a straight line, because I know
it's like the best cheat digital of all time. It's like, no, you use a ruler. You use a ruler.
Yeah. Like at first I was thinking like, oh, it's digital, no physical tools, and then realized, well, your hands are still hands.
And it's still a mechanical drawing surface. Yep.
Yeah. So I can just boop, bop, and straight line.
Ta-da! Yeah, it helps. Little pieces of ancient wisdom.
Okay, so sorry. After all that, I am ready.
Are we ready? Are we there?
Yes, I am ready. I am there.
Okay. Is your OBS capturing it?
Is it? Yes. Yeah. Yes. I had me second guessing. Yeah, everything is good. Everything is fully operational, fully armed and operational.
All right, then refreshing on the side. There we go. Okay. So what we are going to do then is I'm going to just put that page up there so that I can see both. Cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to now create a new layer on top of what you've got, and we're going to, off of that, do a construction.
Okay. Wait. Make a new.
So you'll see in the middle of your little toolkit on the right-hand side of your screen.
Right.
There's that thing with your layers palette. Right at the bottom of that, on the left-hand side, there's a little plus button. That is your new layer.
All right.
Okay. And then the old one, you're going to want to drop down its opacity to about 30%-ish. Pardon me. Still sick.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Done.
There's a little bit of a delay on the YouTube side though, so I'm just letting that catch up. Okay. So using your opacity for your sketches is going to be a really big help when it comes to the digital stuff. That is a major advantage that you have over traditional.
Yeah. Like, I was already thinking of stuff that I could do, like, not necessarily, like, full-on art, but, like, you know, people redraw, like, memes all the time, right, to look like different characters.
Yeah.
So I was thinking I would try to do that with my character as well, like, you know, meme faces.
Yeah, no.
Fit with the different vibes or different thumbnails and stuff. But yeah.
No, it's all use cases.
I mean, it's basically tracing, but you know, I wouldn't
It
do
is
that
tracing,
for like
but it's like
actual art. Like, it's acceptable tracing.
It's more acceptable tracing, yes, because you're trying
because it's a meme, like not trying to pass it off as my own thing, right? Everybody knows that it's based on the meme.
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that for like actual like art pieces.
No, because that would be rude.
Yes, it is quite the faux pas.
It is rude, and it is also kind of stealing. So yeah, we don't do that here. Okay, so now you're going to go to that top layer of yours. You're going to select it, and now what we're going to do is we're going to construct based off of our initial what I'm going to call our gesture, because our blob drawing, our rough work, all of that translates into what we're going to call the gesture. It's the thing that gives us an idea of the shape of what we're trying to achieve without having any actual construction. Okay. A gesture drawing honestly should not probably take you more than like 3 minutes to do, tops.
Okay.
And that is fine. You just want to kind of roughly get everything in the right places. But super, super roughly. You're more worried about shape and movement than about your proportionality and all of that nonsense. That's what the construction step is for. So, if we look at your original, your jaw shape was actually pretty decent. Okay? And as I said previously, when you had your initial head shape in here, it was also pretty decent. So if you've got a line in the right place, there's no reason to change it, you know? So if you've got a line that's in exactly the right place where you want it, you can draw over it basically exactly.
Okay. There we go. Got that.
Okay.
So we saw that's the eye line. That's the like middle of the face. Okay.
Now, you'll see in a lot of sketches and tutorials and all of that, they'll always start with a circle and then add the chin on afterwards. You don't always have to do the whole circle.
Right.
Right. So if your blob is in more or less the right shape, you honestly don't need to bother too much with what is happening on the inside, because it's just more lines to confuse you later. If you're mostly there, it's good enough. Because you're going to be doing a lot of refinement afterwards. anyway.
Like, kind of like,
Okay,
like
so before we go anywhere near what's happening underneath the neck.
Okay.
Okay. So we're just going to quickly construct our head finished, and then we're going to go down. Make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So we know, based off of this rough sketch, that our front, our middle line, is off center. And we know our nose pops off a little bit like that. The nose always pops off of the center line.
Yeah.
Okay? Unless you've got a nose that does that, where it starts and then it points that way off of the face. I don't know how to say that. If this is forward, if the eyes are there and you're looking from the top down, if the nose does not do that, but it does that, for example, that is the only time when you're going to have weird stuff happening. But even then, the origin point of it is always going to be on the center line. Right?
So, something more like that. It looks. Am I like really behind on this thing or something?
Let me see. Refresh again.
Oh, I think my tablet was really behind. Okay. There we go. That's better. So yeah,
Okay.
we've got that.
Okay. Then, when it comes to most of the time in anime, what they'll usually do is they'll have a eye line somewhere around the middle of the head. Now, depending on the age of the person that you're trying to draw, that eye line is either going to be lower down or higher up on the head. And that is individual per character level. And that is not something that has quite so much a fixed rule in totality as a rule per the individual character.
Yeah, the like art styles and the aesthetics too, like Dragon Ball, very very famous for the faces being on like the bottom half of the actual head.
Exactly. So one of the major things that you're going to keep in mind is that regardless of how high up the eyeline is, you're going to want to make sure that your cranium has enough breathing room.
Okay.
Because if you've not got enough breathing room, it's always going to feel weird and flat.
Okay, so breathing room is like...
So in other words, try not to put the eyeline up there.
Right, okay, yeah. Not up too high or else very small head.
Otherwise, they're going to have a chin that can sink the Titanic, or a nose that will be able to sniff out all of the troubles in the world.
Yeah, you're looking like Transformers animated out here. They got some chins. Yeah.
Exactly. So, so just be mindful of that in terms of proportionality. On this particular character that you've drawn, where you've got your eyeline is actually pretty much set. What you'd want to do then is just give yourself a little bit of a guideline in terms of where the bottom of the eye is going to land on. So regardless of how high the eye is, having a placement on the bottom of the eye is going to be helpful for you.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So, okay, that midline is on the bottom of the eye, not the middle of the eye.
Yeah.
Okay.
So some people put the eyeline at like the eyebrow level. It also depends on the style that they're going for. I like working with that being either the bottom of the eye or the top of the eye. It depends on how I've placed it at that particular time. In this instance, I'm thinking the bottom of the eye is the better bet.
Okay. Yeah. Because like I've watched a lot of like shows, right? Cartoon, anime, whatever. Seen a lot of stuff about drawing. Like I've what I'd say, right, is like I've got theoretical knowledge, but
and now you need to actually put it into practice.
Yeah, so like I've seen a lot of stuff like the eye, is about at the middle of the head,
Yeah.
Stuff like that, general proportion knowledge, but yeah.
Okay. So what I've done is I've also just traced your eyebrows in exactly where you had them, because that was good as well. Now, the next proportion that you're going to want to keep in mind is that if you're going for any sense of anything non-chibi, and you're drawing a human character, the height of your ear is the same as the distance between the bottom of the nose and about the top of the eyeball. Sometimes the eyebrow, but somewhere around there. So that is going to be your nose height.
Right.
Your ear height is going to be like so.
Right, yeah, it does connect closer to the corner of the jaw. So yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So you'll also find that will line up. That'll also line up with the underside of the nose, and it'll line up with the top of the eye. That's where you're going to put it as well.
Okay, yeah, so the first one was a little high there.
Just
also a little small, I think.
But that's why, once again, construction is fast and loose. Or your gesture is fast and loose. Construction is where you tidy things up a little.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. So, from there, you've got a lot more to work with. Now, one thing that I notice on your side is that you've got this little dip before the ear. So you've got this little dip that your ear is in there. Now, be careful of doing that when you're doing your initial sketches. Okay? Because remember, that is going to be the back of your head. So if you're looking at anyone from the side, the nose sits there. There is an in, but it's an awful lot lower down the head. Okay. Why? Because that needs to connect with the back of the neck.
Gotcha. That's... Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And around, and then the top of that, and then it goes down, the corner of the jaw. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
For those who don't know, because camera, I was kind of referencing my own head to put that all together. But yeah.
Honestly, a mirror is every artist's best reference tool. Honestly.
Yeah. I was also reading like an interview with an artist the other day to talk about like he takes pictures of his own hands and feet for reference as well.
Yeah. No, it's like honestly the easiest way to get good references to just take it yourself.
Yeah.
All right. So that'll give you a sense of continuity in terms of what you're doing. Now, I've just got to let an orange cat out the room because he has decided that he is no longer sitting in the window. So 1 second.
Yeah, you gotta let chaos out. The legendary chaos cat. Long may he reign. Bring destruction upon the world. Let them know the terror, feline terror. Just mild feline like shenanigans. Honestly, not even like horror or mayhem. Just maybe catch some mice. Maybe the mice need to fear, but not so much the other.
I return. I just suddenly got claws in my knee, and it's like, oh, okay, you're here.
No.
Pardon. All right.
Oh, I should have. Control Shift C. I should probably change that in my settings here. There we go. Buttons. Aha.
You all good?
Yeah. I was just adding a shortcut button to my tablet because I realized. Yeah, see the soft proofing problem I had was caused by the commands for the command for redo is not the same in
Oh no.
as in as in GIMP. So when I was trying to press the redo button, that was causing the
What's the shortcut key for redo in Krita?
It seems to be Control Shift Z.
Oh no. Ugh. That's that.
Yeah.
No, you. How is that not Control Y?
Yeah, so when I was doing my shortcut button for redo, instead that's the command for soft proofing toggle, which messes with the colors, but I can just press it again and it'll go back to normal. Soft proofing on, makes them all like kind of dull. It's weird.
Okay. That's probably switching color. That'll probably be switching colors to CMYK profile.
Yeah. I don't know what the purpose is, but that's what
it'll be preview for print. It'll be a print preview, basically. Yeah. Okay, so let's get back to construction, shall we?
Yes.
Okay. So for raw basics, that is enough. With a little bit of practice and getting confidence in it, that basic structure will already take you a long way. Okay, and you can refine that as you build the confidence in it.
Cool.
Okay, so the next thing that we've got here is your torso, which is once again split into a rib cage, a hip, and the soft stuff in between, right? We're not going to worry about the neck for now. Okay, because why? The neck is also something a little bit more fluid that can fall in between.
Gotcha.
So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a rib cage, which is going to be this sort of a round thing. I know previously I drew it as a rectangle, but you can use a round thing as well. You can also use a round rectangle. There's no fixed rule here.
Press the wrong. Okay, there we go. Soft proofing, my nemesis. something like that.
Yeah, just kind of throw a ball in there and see what happens.
All right, gotta go find a ball. Time to throw it. All right. So we got the. Yeah, it is kind of a circle.
It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. Perfect circles are overrated, and not applicable to rib cages. So
Perfect circles are difficult.
what did they say? It's the sign of insanity is being able to draw a perfect circle right the first time.
That's what they say?
One of them. It's one of the ones I heard a couple of years. It's one of the ones I heard a couple of years ago. I can't remember where, but if you are able to draw a perfect circle freehand, without rotating your piece of paper the first time, it is terrifying.
Yeah, I've seen videos of like a video of a dude like going up to a chalkboard and just like straight arm, just
Perfect circle.
Perfect circle.
Oh, that's a terrifying skill.
Yeah.
Terrifying. Okay.
Androids walk among us.
Indeed. Okay. Now here you've got this little belt being denoted over here. Right. But that would actually be roundabout at the top of your pelvic bone. So that we're going to always put as a little rectangle, basically. You can use a rectangle, it's just easier than circles when it comes to the pelvic bone.
Gotcha.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Okay.
Got the rectangle.
Once again, it doesn't even have to be perfectly upright.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Yep.
So now we've got our little holy trinity, I guess you can call it, of the head, the chest, and the pelvic bone, which give us our torso in a nicely contained little package. That gives us a full idea, basically, of everything that is happening in this drawing. Now, if we look at our rough, we see that the entire body is facing this way, right?
Right, facing
roughly in that direction.
Yeah.
So a good idea, especially when you're starting out, is to, from this point, add a contour line on the front edge. So you see this little line I did halfway down? So just like down the front of the face, I added second little contour line down the front of the ribs and the pelvic bone, just to give you an idea of which direction everything is facing in.
Right.
Okay?
Yep.
Because it would give a very different feeling if the torso is pointing this way, right? But the hips are pointing that way. Because then all of a sudden, there is twist.
Antroposto.
Okay.
I believe that's...
So, giving yourself that little contour line helps you to just identify where's forward. Because...
Yeah, contrapposto.
Yeah. Because if you look at a body along the torso, there is an element of symmetry. And you've also got something called a belly button, which lies right in the middle.
Right.
And that is always going to be on the line between the chest and the top of the pelvic bone. So that's always going to be somewhere there. And that is a major landmark for everything else that you might want to do. So like this little red line here, for your character design, for example, would be your landmark for where you would want your buttons to go on your shirt.
Okay.
Okay.
Like,
so if you've got twist,
like
you would have a twist in your shirt then that you'd want to be aware of. Okay.
yeah, I'd have to like that.
Yeah. So as a landmark, it's a good idea to be aware of it. We don't need it right now, but it's a good idea to just be aware of it. Consciousness helps in terms of being prepared for what you're going to want to do later.
So it would be like that, and then
okay,
like that sort of thing. Yeah.
Right. So after you've got your orientation lines down on your torso and your hips, the next thing you're going to want to do is kind of align your spine.
Okay.
Now, in reality, the spine is the sort of a weird thing that curves in this little wobbly S shape, right?
Yeah.
But the important thing to keep in mind is that it happens at the back. So this line that we're talking about here happens at the front. Which is why earlier on when I was showing you stuff, I had boxes. Because when you've got things in boxes, you can see a front side and a back side.
Yeah, different planes.
Pretty easily. So maybe as a beginner in construction, working with boxes is going to be easier for you to see what you're doing than working in spheres.
Okay. Box over here. We're putting a sphere in a box. Gotta put your sports balls away. The soccer ball goes in a box.
Everything goes in a box. Okay, once again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Try and get used to, when you're doing your construction and your gesture stuff, to use lightweight, fast lines, because you don't want to spend all your time on your construction.
Okay.
So if you can do it faster and looser, you're going to be a lot less frustrated with it.
Right. I need to get it back. I've always written very, like as a kid, I wrote very hard, like on very hard and very large on paper, like. Yeah.
That is fair. It is a habit. It is a habit to need to break.
Like not as much A, B, C. Just really getting in here.
Like, I'm also someone who has a habit of pressing hard, and it actually injures you eventually.
Okay.
So yeah, if you can work on doing lighter, looser lines, it's going to help you. It'll also give you a little bit more freedom, and you're actually going to find that because you're not working so hard and so slow, you're actually going to actually have a little bit more control and stability.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So try it a couple of times, get used to it, get the feel of it. All of a sudden the box isn't quite so menacing.
Yeah, there we go. Also, just getting used to the feel. Me being a old man over here, I'm more used to paper. Yeah, I like the feel of it. Digital art. What's the digital? How's it digital?
Honestly, getting the feel for it is getting the feel for your tools is half of the battle with digital art. Just like it is with picking up any other medium. It's getting used to your tools is where a lot of things fall apart. So yes, it does take a little bit of time to get the handle of things, which is why I'm also trying to show you stuff that you can use on paper too.
Yeah, I'm especially trying to learn more how to do it in digital as well, because like, well, if I want to make any kind of like assets for my content, then well, I don't really have a scanner. Scanner. Yeah. So so I would have to make it digitally eventually. Now, like if I'm like designing stuff or coming up with ideas, like I've probably still like do it on paper. Like I've been working on like a mascot design a little bit. So
nice.
yeah, and like once I actually get on paper, like okay, this is what he's gonna look like, then I'll try to draw it in digital. I figure.
No, that's a reasonable process. I mean, if I had to do all of my ridiculous hours in the morning doodles on digital, my computer would have no memory left. Like none.
Yeah.
So I understand. And also for your little rough exercises and so on, you don't always need to save everything. But yeah, doing your boxes like you are now is absolutely a critical thing. What you can also do... Actually, no, I'm not going to say that because right now it's a little bit off topic for where you are at presently. So we'll get back to that at another stage, I think.
Okay.
Okay. We are not looking at perspective yet. We're not looking at perspective yet. But yeah, try and think of putting the boxes with the angles facing in different directions as well. So sometimes the front face is pointing more up, sometimes it's facing more forward, sometimes it's facing more left, sometimes it's facing more right. Give it a couple of variations as well, so that you don't always draw the exact same box.
Right.
Okay. Feeling a little bit better?
Yeah.
Okay. So now what I want you to do is erase the circle in that very heavy square box under your head and show a rough layer again. And then put a fresh box over your ribcage and hip bone.
Just an entirely new
just
new
entirely new box.
Okay.
Also, try and keep it nice and light.
Right. Bigger eraser. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. Okay.
Okay. Is that the biggest your eraser will go?
No, I just made it big enough.
Okay.
What's that?
It looks like... Okay, there. It's just lag on the stream.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I had made it bigger.
Yeah.
For that.
Okay.
Okay, so... Let's just do that. Do a little... That. Up. There. That doesn't look right. That doesn't look right.
Okay. Try and bring that
a little too
try and
high.
bring yeah. So if you see that you did it a little too high, erase and pull it down.
Yeah. I had aligned the top of the front face with the top of the shoulders, but that wasn't correct. That's the front face. That should be there. That. Like that. Shoulder. Boom. Boom. Like that. There. And then that. And like that. Okay. I think that should be good.
For our purposes, good enough.
Okay. And just make it bigger. Yeah. There we go. And right. Yeah, he's got kind of a lean back in the original drawing. Is little, and then there we go. Okay.
All
So
right.
I've got the looser boxes.
Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our spine into this entire mess.
Okay.
Okay.
So that should be aligned with the back planes.
Mm-hmm. So one thing that you can do to kind of cheat this, right, is if you've got your box is kind of split in half like this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What you can do is just on the inside of these, add a teeny curve between those. And that will give you the idea of what's happening in the spine there. And that curve always points inwards a little bit.
Okay, so that's not like that. Is that? I don't know if that's good.
That's good.
Okay.
Okay. And then from the top of your rib box, that goes to where it would join up with the back of the head. Also, a teeny little curve inwards.
Okay, are my boxes a little too far to the left, or?
You can use it. You can use it.
Okay.
My drawing and your drawing are not going to be the same drawing, so don't worry about it too much.
Right. Okay. So the back of the head, kind of like that. Fighting against the perfectionist tendencies.
I know the pain.
All right. That should be it.
Okay, good, good, good. So now what we can do is we can join the corners. We don't really need the middle corner over here because we're not really going to actually see it. So we just need the outer edges.
Okay.
Join those two together.
All right, joined.
Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to draw a little triangle from this front corner here to basically the bottom of the ear. Right? And to the bottom of where the other ear would be on this side.
Ooh, it says your live stream is offline.
Yeah, I have been struggling with a couple of internet blips lately. So in your drawing, the line on this side, right, is going to basically line up on your side with the nose line.
Well, I can't see now because your stream is okay, it's back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this side on your your drawing, it's going to more or less line up with that center line in terms of where it'll connect.
Okay, gotcha. So
or something like that.
okay, so something kind of like that.
There we go. That is good enough.
Okay.
All good?
Yeah.
The question mark is most audible.
No,
Is everything okay?
no, sorry. No, it's. I believe it's good.
Okay. Once again, we're not aiming for perfection here.
All right.
All right. The next thing we're gonna do.
Distracted by things. I'm back. I'm good. I'm
Okay.
here.
You okay? You in one piece?
Yes.
Okay. Deep breath.
Yeah, no,
We continue.
I'm not there. It's fine.
No. No, it's just sometimes very useful to reoxygenate the brain, and it helps refresh you and get you back into space to take a deep breath. As someone who often forgets to breathe, I find it very useful.
Oh, it's good to know that you require oxygen as well. Aliens aren't so different.
Not entirely.
Rehydrating here.
Good idea.
A turn of phrase. Grab your closest safe for consumption beverage.
Yeah, learning well. The ice cold coffee is doing its trick. Okay.
Yeah, I finished my iced coffee, and I've just got a bottle of water.
Nice, nice.
All right.
All right. So the next thing that we need to get in place is going to be our shoulders. Now, in our initial version, the shoulders were pretty high up, so it was kind of like it was being pulled up, and that's not necessarily the feeling that we're wanting to aim for. So if we're going for, so if we want to go for a more relaxed pose, we're going to need to actually drop those shoulders down a little bit. So
Okay.
what you're going to want to do is basically align the top of your rib plane with two little circles around about as wide as what the side plane of your rib box is. So something roughly like that. Once again, does not have to be perfect, but things that are further away from you are probably going to look smaller than things that are closer to you.
Like, nope, too high. Okay. Smaller. Okay. That doesn't look right.
Okay, that one on the left side, pull it outward a little bit. Because at the moment it's kind of clipping into your box. You want it to be outside of your box.
Okay, more like that.
More to the left.
More to... Alright.
Okay.
Is that more?
Okay. What you're looking for is keeping the size consistent, but just pull it outward a little bit.
Okay, I got it. Alright, is that... Going with this left shoulder here. Alright.
Okay, here's a different metric for you. You see the distance between the bottom of the chin and the bottom of the nose?
Yes.
Okay, that's how big your circle needs to be.
That looks the right size. So it needs to be a little bigger?
A little bit bigger. And if it's too small the first time, you could just scratch it bigger. Doesn't have to be a single circle.
It's clipping too far in, isn't it? That is too big.
No, that was actually pretty good.
Oh, what? Oh. That got it? Okay, there we... Is that right?
That'll do. That'll do the trick.
Okay.
Okay?
Circles. My nemesis.
Indeed. Okay,
Is this other one not the right size then?
You might want to correct that and pull it down a little bit.
Okay.
I was just waiting for your stream to catch up with me. The nice thing with sketching is if the first thing that you draw is too small, you can just add a layer, and just pull it outward and just ignore what's happening in the middle. My internet is really crying at the moment.
All right. I think that's good.
That's good. That's good.
That's good.
That is good. Leave it just as is. If you agonize too much, then move on.
Yeah, right. I kind of just... Yeah, sometimes it's just... I'm like, try a line. That doesn't look right. No. I need to stop doing that.
The worst what happens is when you do that and then you undo and then draw a line and then the next line is worse than the previous one. That's the painful part. Because sometimes you draw the perfect line and then you think, no, it's not good enough, and then everything else looks, no, not nearly as good as that one line. So, you know what? If it looks good enough, stick with it. Okay?
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Perfect is the enemy of good. We're moving forward. We're doing it live.
We're doing it live. Okay. So now, if we hide our rough layer, we should see all of a sudden that we've got a very different looking construction going on that we can't necessarily see entirely clearly when we've got our base visible. So there you can already see it does look quite different from what you had previously.
Yeah.
Okay. So now what we can do is we can add another layer on top. We're not going to worry about the arms for now, I think.
Okay.
Because in most cases, arms, you can actually almost get away with noodle arms. Most of the time. The one thing that I will say about drawing arms, if you want to get your proportions right, is that it's always helpful to put the elbow in line with somewhere in the squishy bit.
Okay.
So the distance between your shoulder and your elbow is, if it's lying loose against the torso, it's going to be in the middle of the squishy bit.
Yeah, a little bit below the bottom of the rib cage.
Yeah. So if that is our rule, then anywhere up this arc, we can put our elbow and it'll be in the right place.
Right.
Okay. So that is about the only proportion rule that I worry about too much when it comes to upper arms. Is elbows line up with the middle of the squishy stuff.
Yeah, otherwise you start getting some like gorilla arms, T-Rex arms.
Exactly, exactly. And
I can't help seeing the current spot where the drawing is on your head as like teeny tiny little arms, little ball hands.
I know, right? Now,
It's just, anyway.
Now, considering that I'm like an avian alien, I'm going to throw in the bird pun here. So if I was doing the little chicken dance right now, right?
Yeah.
The wrist would be up there, and that would be chicken dance.
Right.
Weird funky hands. Wrist, the distance between the elbow and the wrist is the same as the distance between the is the same as between the elbow and the top of the shoulder, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
unless you're purposefully getting funky.
Yes.
Gotta know the rules before you break them.
So if you've got that distance, you can put that arc anywhere there, and anywhere there, your wrist will work.
Right. Okay, so if I want the hand to be like on the, then it would be like about like that. So that would be about it. Right.
So I'm just going to take away the chicken arm right now on this side. I'm just going to cut this off.
And then should be so like oh. Yeah, so about
that looks good.
yeah, because that's like that. Yeah, that looks correct.
Okay. So the next thing I'm going to show you, before we go into any more detail on arms, is a little trick called the floating hand trick. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to erase the elbow and everything. Now, the floating hand trick basically says that if you've got a person who's doing a gesture, you can put the hands anywhere, all right? And then you can just connect the arm to the hand. So if I've got the hands like this, we can infer that it's going to be a shrug, right?
Right.
If we put the hands like that, we can infer it's going to be a point with the other hand on the hip.
Right.
Okay.
You're like there, like.
Okay. Let's not worry about.
I've created disco.
So, if for example you wanted to do a salute, you could put the hand there, and then we can use our little rule of the distance between the shoulder and the elbow to build where the arm would fit in that space.
So yeah, so that would be like, so about that, and then like that, I think.
Okay, so if this is our little box and we want to make a salute,
yeah, because that would be like
that distance is approximately that distance.
So that would be
is approximately that distance.
Yeah, that looks correct, and then that would be about, yeah, so that.
Okay. The floating hand trick is really, really helpful.
Okay.
So you'll notice if you look at things like even your emojis that have hand gestures on them, those are basically floating hands.
Right.
Okay, because even though they're not connected to anything, or like half of the mascots of the Western world, then the hands are actually not attached to anything. So you can infer where the arms would be based entirely on where the hands are. And from that, you can do your connections as you need. Which is why I don't worry too much about the arms until further down the line.
Gotcha.
Exactly. Exactly. So, the floating hand trick is a really, really big help. And I'm going to show you a shorthand for drawing hands that I used since I was 12. That is really, really easy. Okay? It's by no means the most accurate way of drawing hands, but if you just need a basic open hand pose, you can get away with it.
Right.
And that is to draw a straight line. We're going to imagine that the hand is pointing downwards, right?
All right.
Then we're going to draw a triangle out of that.
Okay.
Add another triangle roughly.
Okay. So like connected at points, like.
So basically, tiny triangle at the top of the big one. So this is a right hand seen from in front, basically. Okay, that works. Now what you're going to do is you're going to draw one line up until an arbitrary point in the middle of the big triangle.
Okay.
And another line slightly off.
Huh. Okay, I've never seen this way before.
It is 12-year-old me being lazy.
Because like I was expecting like
They're
two
always...
boxes.
The hands are really,
And,
really complicated. I do not want to overwhelm you with the complications of hands. Hands are the bane of artists who have years of experience. I'm not going to overwhelm you with those now. A shorthand that does the trick will do the trick.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, they're like accomplished like comic artists who like I can think of one in particular that's like famous or infamous for like just conveniently having all of his characters' feet like covered by shrubbery and rocks and stuff.
Just so that he doesn't ever have to draw it. Yes, it's exactly that sort of a thing.
It's like incredibly conspicuously covered. Like
yes. Like the camera angles are just so. Right.
Yeah.
So
in Marvel Comics and such.
Yeah. So with that, what I like to do is add a little rectangle on the bottom end of the teeny triangle to be like the tip of the thumb.
Okay.
Like teeny little rectangle.
Small rectangle. Okay.
That's good. And then the wrist roughly pops off like that.
Right. And we have 4 fingers, like any self-respecting cartoon.
Exactly. Now, this pose is based entirely on the idea of fingers wrapping past each other. Like, I don't know if you've ever worn a golf glove, but if you've worn a golf glove, you'll know that it kind of automatically pulls your fingers into this sort of staggered curve. And this is basically like viewing your fingers, where if you kind of slightly bend your fingers inwards and then look at it from the angle where you're seeing only your index finger, really. This is kind of the view that this shorthand is designed for.
Okay. And so, yeah, the pinky is just hidden completely.
So
which is why only 3.
Exactly. So, if you want to turn that into a point, basically what happens is you'll start with a spike for the big finger and kind of just make a weird bird beak thing out of that. And then a weird rectangle on the side for the thumb and arm out off of that. And then maybe clean up a little. Don't think about it too hard. When you're doing shorthands for gestures, honestly, you don't need to think about it too hard.
Gotcha.
And at that point, you don't even need to bother with other fingers, because they're all curled up anyway.
Okay.
So, yeah, basically what I end up doing is, if I've got now my construction, and I want to now add my floating hands to my construction for the purposes of my sketch, what I will do is I will actually just do a triangle, maybe 2 triangles, to give the sense of what the hand is doing.
Okay.
So 1 triangle for the palm and the other triangle for the fingers.
Right. So the triangles give a bit more of a sense of like what is being done than
rectangles.
Boxes.
Yeah. Because here's the thing, right? Hands are bendy. Like really, really bendy. And the thing which is nice when you can do triangles is that there's a lot that you can denote in a triangle that looks like that with weird curvy sides versus a triangle that looks like that versus maybe something roughly like that to denote a break in the fingers.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be scared to curve your lines. Even if you're drawing someone pointing, start with a banana on a box. Boom, they're pointing. There's
okay. or like a thumbs up. So like some kind of banana on a box like that. And like that. I mean, like a hand on the hip would be a bit more like that, but then if it was like, what was the thing that it was a triangle like that?
There we go.
So, so it'd be a bit more like if it was, like that, then it'd be about here, like.
So if I can give you a tip, if you've got your arm and your wrist, okay, when you're doing your shorthands, do one triangle, your palm triangle pointing to your wrist, and your finger triangles pointing away.
Gotcha.
And that is a hinge.
Okay, so like, actually just put it like this to figure out. All right, now I can floating hand. It's about like that, and then.
So you don't have to worry about where the elbow is going to go when you're doing your floating hand. As long as it doesn't look like the arm is going to be completely disjointed from the body.
Right. What was it? For the try to put it somewhere above, because ran out of space. It's just at the waist, so it's kind of got to have it out there. But whatever, we're working with it. Okay, so be like that. So like that, and then it's kind of foreshortened, I guess, or just a very large hand.
Well, that you know that foreshortening exists is a step in the right direction.
Thanks. I may not be super good at doing it, but yeah, I've
you
seen
know that it exists.
Like examples, and yeah.
No, that is something that is going to be easier when you have practiced looking at perspective a bit more. But yeah, try and avoid it in the early stages because it's very easy for it to look a little uncanny.
Yeah.
But I will send you some exercises off stream to work on for perspective that will help you develop that when you are ready for it. Because it's one of those little things that's going to be helpful for you later down the line.
All right.
So for now, let's try and get like our little thumbs up more in proportion with our head. So, you remember when we were doing our shoulder construction?
About the same size as the shoulder, I'm guessing?
Yeah. So the width of your hand, and you can more or less test this.
Yeah.
If you put the palm of your hand on the front plane of your opposite shoulder, you'll see that it basically goes from your armpit to the top of your shoulder. So if you put your fingers pointing outward, you'll find that proportion is really, really similar.
Right.
So the width of your hand is about the same as the height of your shoulder, where it connects to the torso. So when it comes to deciding, okay, how big is my hand going to be for my thumbs up, you can basically use that shoulder ball as a guideline.
Right. Thumb is a little too big. Okay. That's okay. That's good. That's good enough. It's like a Facebook thumbs up. Like,
oh,
actually, it looks like that on YouTube too.
That it does. That it does.
And you all should give a thumbs up to the streams. Hey.
Indeed, please do. We'd appreciate it. Please, please, please.
Very, very much would be appreciated. Both.
Possibly.
First Harrier, then maybe me.
Well, half of what I'm saying doesn't make sense if you're not seeing what's happening on your screen, so it's fine. Right. All good?
Yes.
Okay. So we've got more or less now the same pose going on. So now we can go and add our arm mass, I guess you can call it. So for now, we are going to cheat. Because cheating is perfectly viable while you are still getting the hang of the basics. Right? So, what we're going to do is, you see this little knot? That's the end of the elbow.
Right.
From that to your wrist is literally going to be the outside line of your arm. So it is basically, and I just want to make sure that I have not got completely forgotten everything that I never studied. But it is essentially the ulnar bone. Like, in your arm, you've got the radius and the ulnar. It is the ulnar. It is that bone that runs from your elbow to the outside of your wrist. That is that bone. And when you are moving your hand around, from most angles, it's actually pretty tight to the skin.
Okay, yes, that looks correct. Yeah, that should be the ulna.
Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this from an arbitrary point in our hand, and we are going to draw a stripe straight down to the rest of the arm. Just straight.
Okay, so good
once
enough.
again, doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't need to be full.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I've got it.
Then what we're going to do is we're going to take a tangent off of our shoulder circle, and we're going to arbitrarily pull that down on both sides towards the elbow, roughly like that.
Okay. So like that, and then there we go.
So from that point to the bottom tangent of the shoulder, ball, and the top tangent of the shoulder.
Okay.
And boom, you've got a low detail arm done. It reads like arm. Now,
yeah, and that also kind of gives you an idea of like, you know, there's some like overlap when the arm is
bent and all of that.
Like,
so having
with the elbow.
Exactly. So what you could do to basically get that overlap clarified is basically just erase a teeny little bit off the bottom, and there you can see that you've actually got the overlap already drawn.
Yeah.
So easy, chuff chuff.
Yeah, like stuff like that.
Pretty much.
That's also one of the things that Sonic Heroes ignore, because they've got the noodle arms. So I was drawing those as a kid, but that's a little easier than stuff like wrinkles and proportions. But yeah,
yes,
it's one of the things I actually do kind of get. I would kind of ignore like how the clothes wrinkle at the elbow, or I would just draw, you know, short sleeves. But yeah.
Baby steps.
Yeah.
Baby steps. So now what we can do is look at the other arm. Now this one, what we're going to do is, I don't know if you remember a couple of steps previously, we talked about a bendy side and a straight side, or a busy side and a straight side.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do on this one, because we see that the thumb is pointing down here.
Right.
Where the thumb is on the lower arm determines what's going to be the bendy side of the arm. Okay. So,
yep.
If we're assuming that the thumb is on that side, the bendy side of the arm is going to be almost like an S shape from the elbowish.
Okay.
And depending on how built someone's forearms are, that S can be more or less pronounced. So on a dainty person, that S can be really, really shallow. On a buff person, it can be pretty significant. I'm going to go somewhere middle down the line.
Gotcha.
Also, try and keep your lines soft and loose and fast. It'll be easier. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I think that's...
Okay, we're there. Right, whatever your last line was, let's leave it at that. Okay?
Alright. Alrighty.
So, then what we're going to do is we're going to take a tangent from the shoulder to the start of that S line. And that is going to be basically a straight.
Alright.
Okay?
Okay.
And then on this side, what we're going to do is we're basically going to also take a tangent. We're going to go to approximately the same distance away from our middle bubble here. Elbow not there on this other side.
Okay.
At your discretion, though, because sometimes it might be a little broad looking. You can kind of take it as it flows. And then sort of just also loose S line down to the hand. In this particular case, actually looking at how your elbow to shoulder line, that heavy line is looking, I would actually take, you'll see that there's this little wobble around 2/3 of the way up, just before it tapers into the point, just before it tapers into the shoulder. You can just kind of go from that little wobble straight up into the shoulder tangent. Should be okay. So you've got that, and then you've got a little wobble. You can just go straight like that. Because that looks like more the right width. There's no rules. You go for what looks most right.
It's a little thin. I think.
Well, a little bit more bulk is maybe not bad, but
yeah, I think this is. I think that looks okay. Yeah.
yeah, that looks okay. I think we're there.
It's about the. It's like a little thicker than the back arm, so I think.
And also, it's not. It's not the easiest arm position as well, because it's also. If you had to pose yourself, it's also not exactly. The easiest way to hold your arm to get your hand in that orientation, I guess. So like if the elbow was in that position, I'd expect the hand to be pointing in a different direction a little bit.
Yeah,
So maybe
I
more
didn't
flat.
really. I wasn't really thinking about the.
Yeah. So
pose
one of the things that you're going to want to do to not have weird stuff happening is actually physically pose yourself and see, can I physically do this, or is this something that a dead bird would do?
Oh, dead bird. Okay. Yeah. Would it look weird if I just turned the hand around? Then it wouldn't be the same shape, same arm shape, I don't think.
In this
Maybe
case,
it
let's see. I'm just going to on my side do the test for you.
just like
Just grab that palm up. That makes sense. That makes sense. So if the thumb is pointing up instead of down, that makes more sense, yeah.
I just was trying to do the back toward the toward the viewing angle, because it didn't say anything about like the palm facing forward, because then you would have the fingers not like being hidden by the rest of the hand.
And for that, there is also a cheat. There is also a cheat for that. And this cheat is called curling. So what we're going to do, if that's the case, is we're always going to use this front edge to indicate our index finger. So we're not ever going to chop that short. It's always going to be our gesture. It's the thing that leads our gesture. So everything else can shorten and curl away as we need it to, right? But that is always going to be our straight. So what we want to do, if we want to have our palm facing forward like this, is we'll have our index finger, and then we'll sort of tuck the other fingers in along it with these little awkward little beams. And if we keep this palm across bar thing going, that actually acts as the wrinkle line for where it would fold almost.
Trying to look at my.
Good enough.
It'd be more of a.
Okay, good enough.
All right.
Okay. Remember, this is just very, very rough to give us an idea of what we're actually building off of.
Yeah. Okay.
This is only second layer construction.
Right.
Now, if you zoom out again, you'll see that we're mostly there, except the neck is looking still a little bit feeble.
Right.
Right? So what we're going to do is basically from the corner of our shoulder of our torso box to the base of our neck over here. What we're going to do is we're going to add a halfway line on either side of that.
Okay.
So on the top plane of our torso box, we're going to add a split halfway between the center line and the outer edge.
And so that's where the base of the neck comes from.
And
then we kind of like.
Then we just connect up.
kind of a soft curving line.
Now you'll see that I'm not bothering to do the same on the that way side, because on my drawing the red line covers that junction.
Yeah.
Okay. There is no point in trying to fit another line in there. It's just going to make it look too thick.
Okay.
All right. So that very roughly gives us a pretty solid idea of everything that's happening in this picture. We've got a thumbs up, we've got an open palm, and we know what's going on. And it looks pretty much more or less in proportion. You can push and pull until you're happier if you want to, but for all intents and purposes, you've got a drawing. That's bolt. And as you get more used to doing this sort of a construction, you're going to develop the eye to get the proportions better.
Right.
The trick is, when you're doing these, you do not want to spend 2 hours on your construction. You want to do this as, I don't want to say thoughtlessly, but you want to develop
Get it as
the
like
spatial
muscle memory.
awareness. You want to develop the spatial awareness to know, okay, relative to myself, how big is my head? How big is my rib cage relative to my head? Okay, and actually do that math on yourself to figure out what your proportionalities are going to be.
Right.
Okay, that's why I say your mirror is your best friend as a reference tool. And not having a mirror, there are other resources around that can make that useful and usable. Personally, I live in anatomy books. I have like 3 strength training anatomy books. I've got autistic anatomy book that I think is actually part of some people's medicinal studies as well. I've got my old, I've got my granddad's old 1954 edition of an art book as well that is basically ancient, but it does the trick. I cut my teeth out of that book, and all of those have a bunch of different references in them that I have personally used continuously. But there are also always a gazillion and 3 free resources available. And I'm going to send you a couple of names to look up for proportionality and so on later as well. I have mentioned them on my channel before, but I'm going to send those to you again, just so that you've got some additional reading that you can look into and see, okay, this is my sketch that I've done. This is the construction that I've done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to compare that against the reference material and see, okay, how close did I get that to what I got in my references?
Okay.
Okay. This is basically what we call the critical analysis learning method. Basically, you do a thing, then you compare the thing against the reference and see, okay, how close did I get? Then you do the thing again with the reference and see, okay, how close can I get it? And it should be a little bit easier.
All right.
All right. And then you're going to do the thing again without the reference and see how much you learnt, comparing that against the one that you did with the reference. And basically, it's going to be a continuous step-by-step of checking yourself against your reference and seeing, have I actually learnt, or was I just copying things, basically on a one-to-one. copying
Right.
is a usable skill to a degree, but you need to develop the skill to apply the copied knowledge into various different applications. So
Yeah, I can already copy some things. That's what I would do a lot, honestly, or like not fully, but like, you know, look at references and kind of put pieces of multiple different like references kind of together along with whatever I was able to do on my own, and sort of like,
that
you know,
that
like I
is
said,
the best way to that is the best way to copy, is a little bit from there, a little bit from there, a little bit from there.
Yeah, not wholesale. Yeah.
Not wholesale and not one-to-one. When you're doing a master study, that's a whole other kettle of fish. That's actually something I need to get around to doing one of these days as well, is actually do one of those. Not this week, that's for sure. But that's a case where you are taking a work from someone who's got a good amount of know-how, and you're trying to learn from what you see in the finished product. You're not always going to get all of the information from it, but it is going to be useful. For now, though, your main thing that you're going to want to get better at is going to be your constructions. Because when you've got the constructions right, everything else gets easier. And
the dynamic posing.
Yeah. So yes, for now, it means that you're going to be doing a lot of characters with tank tops so that you don't have to do wrinkles. That's fine. You do not want to know how many times I have started in this sketch and I just never bothered with the draping, because no. Just no. Yeah. I ain't got the guts for that one anymore. Let's carry on. Moving on with life. And you know what? That's fine.
Yeah, and again, that's why Mega Man Battle Network characters are so easy, because they specifically don't draw them with their programs, so they kind of just have like non-wrinkling bodysuits and armor pieces.
Very, very useful. Very, very useful. Yeah. So yes, it's a step in the direction.
Yeah. Except for when they broke their no clothes rule and put a cloak on a on a program, because
cool factor.
Rule of cool. Yes, cool. Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, how is your brain feeling at the moment?
It's fine. I started drifting, honestly, a little bit at one point, but I brought myself back. I think we're good. I am.
Because I'm looking at the clock, and we are at the limit of what a person can learn in a day.
Okay.
4 hours, the studies have said, is the amount of time in which a person can absorb new information.
Oh, it's been 4 hours.
Yeah, funny how that works, huh?
Yeah.
So, I think this is a lot. It's a lot that we've covered, and I tried to squeeze as many tips and tricks into this basic construction thing as possible. But at the end of the day, it is going to boil down to a lot of practice on your side. So the shorthands and the construction tricks are going to be something that you are going to develop for yourself as you go and grow yourself as well, because you're not always going to need to show all of your construction lines. You're not. But sometimes it's very useful to just remind yourself, okay, this is what I'm doing, this is the posture I'm working in, what sort of overlaps am I looking at, what sort of twists are we looking at? Because it's very easy to have a scenario where you have, for example, someone walking. Mm-hmm. You've got arm forward, leg forward on the opposite side. arm back, leg back on the opposite side. Okay? There you've got twist. And that sort of dynamic movement and something and so on is something that is going to take a little bit of time to develop. Doing quick little sketches like this are going to be helpful for you in terms of developing that in terms of your gesture. A rectangle, a bubble for each shoulder, a triangle for each lower arm I find is useful. A thigh, a lower leg. If you need to draw feet, that works too. That, if you need to do a really quick posture sketch for anything, is the fastest way I can think of to denote anything in as few strokes as possible. This is going to be available afterwards, obviously, because we're on YouTube, not on Twitch. So it's not going to disappear on us after 14 days. So if you find that you can't remember something and you want to look up on it again, you'll be able to scrub through to find that exact thing again, and it won't be an issue. I will be sending you a couple of recommendations. You will see quite frequently that I will be reposting things on Twitter as well, from a certain page that's got like all of the tutorial information on it. They have basically an entire library of free tutorials in all of the categories on their page that they're constantly updating and reposting and all of that. So I will be letting you know about that. I will be sending you their handle as well, but you'll see it's the Etherington Brothers page. They've got brilliant resources that apply to all art styles. So for now, what I think you should do is just focus on getting your major boxes in place. I think that will be easy. And for just interest's sake, if we're looking at our proportions, if a person is that tall, basically what will happen is their entire torso and head basically will fit in one section like that. Right? And then if you split that in half, leg, like so.
Gotcha.
Most of the time, that's what the proportionality is going to be in terms of splitting upper body from lower body. So the main thing is, of the legs, your knees is always going to be in the middle of your leg height.
Yep.
If you haven't got that, that's when you're going into digitigrade territory, which is not where we're at.
Yeah, no.
Hey.
Not going live action Transformers.
Right. Yeah. All right.
Everything I'm thinking about Transformers.
The mecha is strong. The mecha is strong.
Yeah, well, and in the live action movies, they made a lot of the Decepticons, you know, the villains, have digitigrade legs just so they would generally look less human like than the Autobots.
Yeah, I also noticed that it's trying to add the uncanny factor, make them more other.
Yeah. They're also a lot more sharp.
Yes, more hereditary and all of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that is where we should call it for today. But yeah, if you've got any other particular questions that creep up at you along the way, feel free to shoot me a DM. You know where to find me.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, and
Yeah,
I'm definitely looking forward to. I'm gonna try to carve out time to practice these things. Maybe I'll.
if you put in
Maybe
5
I'll make
minutes a day, if you've only got 5 minutes in a day, then you can still practice these basics. Honestly, I'm actually going to send you a video by a guy by the name of Mark Burnett. He runs the YouTube Art School, brilliant course as well. And he's got a video on how to practice if you've only got 5 minutes in a day, which is really, really brilliant. So I'm going to send you that video. Check it out. And yeah, I wish you the best of luck with your practice.
Thanks, I appreciate it. You're really going above and beyond. Yeah, you do all of this, but I appreciate it.
No.
And I would definitely be happy to do a collab again, you know, whether it's drawing stuff or like games, chat, whatever, conversations. You know, cool person. I don't think I could have picked anyone better for my first collab. Honestly, I don't want to get sappy, but you really have inspired me to do this. So I really appreciate it.
I am so glad if your first collab has been a pleasant experience. It was fun having you. All of the chaos aside, I think you did really, really well today. And I really hope that I didn't melt your brain a little bit, because I know that I kind of went haphazard a little bit, because I was kind of a little bit scared that we were going to go directly into okay, I want to learn about character art, but I don't know anything about where to start, and that was kind of where it ended up going. But you know what? I think as far as just opening the gambit of this format as well, it was kind of maybe a necessary step. But yeah, I also think if we get the opportunity to collab again, it would be really fun. We'll see what happens.
Thank you. Still working on my scheduling and all that, but yeah, maybe I'll start doing art like streams or content where I'm on. Maybe not yet, because I'm not actually able to get the full proper finished product. That's the word, product. Yet, but you know, it's in the works. I'm gonna figure some stuff out.
You'll get there. Listen, here's the thing, right? Once you've got this step, everything after this is adding detail, right?
Right.
So, knowing that you've got your basic construction is going to make adding detail to anything a lot easier when it comes to your original stuff. Because, like you said earlier, if you're drawing over your memes, for example, that is basically just tweaking detail.
Yeah, because the base image, the reference image is the construction. They
exactly.
That, so yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, I'd actually say do a couple of those meme redraws. Get used to doing your detailing, because then you can do it over any base.
Right.
And also on platforms like I haven't used them for a couple of years now, but platforms like DeviantArt, also there's a bunch of free to use bases on there, as long as you credit the base provider.
Right.
Actually draw over the base. Credit the base provider and where you found the image, obviously. And get used to your detailing off of that, because it's also a valid thing. but don't neglect practicing your construction.
Yeah.
So I'd say, as far as gathering assets and resources go, see what you can find that you can use and detail for the short term, but still build on your construction and such for your long-term development. Because keeping that balance is going to be the key to not falling short in either category.
Gotcha.
All right.
Yes, Professor.
That's your title, last I heard.
No, today I am but the learner.
But you have done well, and I appreciate your time this morning in your time zone. So, yes.
Yes.
It has been a good one. All right, so I'm going to leave you be. Let us say goodbye to our respective streams, and yeah, we shall see you when we see you.
Yep.
All right then.
Yeah, if you like, oh wait, hold on. I should go to my own.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Oh man, I think that was pretty fun. Oh man, let me just blah, blah, blah. Do that. You know what? That's just not agreeing with me. That's just a second, guys. Things are just not agreeing with me. Okay. Just had to dial out of that call quickly. That was fun. It was kind of chaotic in its own weird, creative way, but it was fun. Phoenix, I am so sorry that I did not acknowledge your messages. I was kind of head down a little bit, but thank you guys. I appreciate it for all of your lurking support today. For Sai as well, we both appreciate you being here. This was a very, very, very experimental sort of a stream. So it was, I think it was relatively okay, maybe. Once again, I would have maybe had a slightly easier time of it all if the subject matter were less broad, but hey, we all got to start somewhere, right? And if you were joining in, trying to learn a couple of things as well, I hope you guys maybe found some value in the session. It was ridiculously long. Once again, I apologize for that. It was basically 3 hours of non-stop material delivery. But I really, really, really hope that, if nothing else, it broke a couple of walls down. People are not the easiest thing to start with drawing, but I know that they are one of the most appealing things to start to draw. So, yes, we didn't go through the entire draw a person process, but I think with a couple of more beginner-friendly sessions and lurking around in drawing streams and asking questions and so on, we can get through various steps all together, learning, growing, becoming more competent artists as we go along. And I really, really, really appreciate you guys walking on the path with me. It was lovely, lovely, lovely having you. What is happening is that on tomorrow I am supposed to have another comic drawing stream. It's going to either be a really short one, or it's going to get bumped over to Saturday afternoon, also 13:30 start time UTC. We shall see what shall happen. Sai, thank you, much appreciated. Thank you for joining us. It was absolutely awesome having you. And I sincerely hope that everyone has a lot of fun learning, creating things, and I shall be sending out all of the links later. So, everyone, thank you so much. Rest well when you get to it, and until next time, see you soon.